Welcome to Viva La Visionary, the podcast that celebrates the innovative ideas and mindsets of entrepreneurs and visionaries. Join your host, Coach Bob Schittefeld, as he dives into inspiring stories and practical insights from trailblazers who are changing the game. Whether you're an aspiring entrepreneur or a seasoned leader, this show is your source for motivation and creativity. Let's embark on this exciting journey together.
Hey there, Coach Bob here, the host of Viva La Visionary, the podcast for, to, and about visionaries. And today we have Tony Scappaticci. Tony, how are you today?
I'm doing good. How are you, Bob? Thanks for having me on today.
Absolutely. Glad to have you. So I like to start off with a very simple question to get us rolling, Tony. And the question is, why are you on this planet? What is your why in life? I just like to start small.
Sounds great. Well, I was born, so there's
I like that.
Why. I'm not 100% solid on it, but it revolves around helping others and inspiring others to have a better impact on the world. And one of the things I'm passionate about is helping people or wanting people to smile. I think a smile is such a small thing that can make or break a conversation, a room, and all those types of things. And so, I'm trying to zero in on the smallest piece of it, helping somebody smile, but really it's about helping people in general. I do it through business. I do it outside of business. Maybe not as necessarily in philanthropy, but certainly in my communications with people and trying to help them get through things and stuff like that. So
Right. No, I love it. And I think, a lot of people are like, what's happening with our world? I think this is the greatest time ever to be alive. And the thing that gets us to the next step is connection. And so whether that be a smile or a hug or just presence, I love that. So thank you for sharing. And I know you pretty well. And I know you help me to smile and a lot of others. So keep it up.
I don't help everybody smile, though, because I have my mistakes and things, too. But generally, that's what I want to see in the world. Because if we're all happy, if we're all able to smile, even in a hard world or in difficult scenarios,
right,
you can always find the good in that. And so,
I love it. Yeah, thank you for that.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. And then when's the first time you realized you were a visionary? I don't want to over label it, but as a lot of us know who are entrepreneurs, it's like, okay, what's my place? I might be the tradesman, I might be the technician, I might be the salesperson, but at the end of the day, it's usually us founders are visionaries. And so when did you first realize you were a visionary?
It wasn't until the EOS concept started coming into my world that I even heard the term visionary. So one of the things when I look back on is with my home life, my wife would always say, you keep throwing softballs. Because I'm an idea guy. I'm thinking about what if and why don't we do this or those types of things. So I never knew that that's what it was. I just knew it created friction sometimes because I was always looking for the next thing or what could be. And then once I think EOS got introduced into my brother's company, actually, I started hearing those terms. And then, of course, I read some of the material, and you were actually his coach. So he talked a lot about you and what it's done for them. And then I started learning, maybe that's who I am. Prior to that, I just went to work and did what I had to do. And and that was, so that was probably about 5 or 6 years ago it came into my life.
Right. I love that. And what is our role as a visionary, and not just at work, but in life? I mean, what are we supposed to do or be as a visionary, in your opinion?
In my opinion, oh man, I'm learning that thanks to you. I think what we bring to the world, maybe not what we're supposed to.
Love it.
That way because I really struggle with being somebody that makes that impact, and maybe it's the limelight or trying to be out front, but what I think is we inspire and we create something that didn't exist yesterday, and so we're always thinking about the possibility of what if,
right?
Or what do we need to do, and that's how I look at it.
Yep. No, that's great. And again, it's different for all of us, but similar for all of us. And so, and I think, in my opinion, in my experience, when I started to run a business that went from nothing, to 200,000 to 5 million in a couple of years. And I'm like, who am I to be running this? I'm not a good manager. I don't like to be a manager. And for Gino, who was my coach, to say, you're a great effing visionary. And I'm like, okay, well, big deal. I don't want to run this business. He's like, yeah, but with a system and a process and the right team, you can actually just be you. And I was like, wow, I mean, that changed my life. it's
Sure, and it's helped us as well, and
Yeah.
in our company, and I think when you take it into the business aspect, it really is about leading, in my mind, the thought
Yeah.
of where do we need to go, where should we be going, but not necessarily the figuring out how to do it. Because I agree 100% with you. I'm not
Right.
a conflict person. I actually have some integrator in me.
Yeah.
I score on both sides, but I don't enjoy the integrator side as much.
Right.
But I don't like the conflict. I don't like the same thing every day, making sure it all happens every day. There's people
Right.
that are brilliant at that, and I love them to death. It's
Right.
not me. And I think we have to bring the spark. We have to bring those ideas, the things that people are afraid to say, or
Right.
and really just push the envelope. And
Yeah.
sometimes they get shot down, which is hard, but sometimes they might be a good idea. And
Right.
so yeah, I think in the business world that it's a little bit more about that.
So I appreciate that we, bring, to the thought to it. Do we also, what I'm also even experiencing is I've often shared, here's my vision, and then 2 months later I get pissed that it hasn't happened. And so I might have shared it once and it was more of a thought. So I'm learning to be really clear, not only on the thought, but the emotional side. So that's something even new. I just want to see if you had any thoughts on that. So it's not just, hey, Tony, we could have 22 locations and do this. Okay, well, great. But when I communicate the emotion behind it to say there's connection, we make people smile. People leave, just with warmth in their heart. I mean, that kind of thing. Any comments on that? That is our opportunity, is to share kind of what the emotional output could be.
Yeah, sure. And I think that ties a little bit into the inside the business passion I have, which is our culture.
Right, right,
I want people to have, you say, great effing forum, a great effing visionary. I want people to have a great effing career, life, experience at work. So
Yeah.
many places have poor experiences for their employees. And so this can be a place, work can be a place where it transforms somebody's future. So yeah, I do believe the passion part or the thought part comes into that with, it's not just about more.
Right.
It's about more opportunity for people to grow. It's about more opportunity for people to be successful. It's about, and I'm not really good at galvanizing, like
Yep.
yourself. So I fall a little bit short when it comes to those ideas because I do want to say, hey, this is what we need to do. This is what I
Right.
want to do. But I'm not really good at inspiring it. Maybe, or I believe I'm not.
I appreciate that. There's a little chatter probably going on, but right.
There is. There is. And
Right.
so I'm learning to deal with that kind of thing. But I think it ties into what you were saying is, now I'm losing my train of thought there, in the passion side of it.
Right.
It's not
Yep.
just the vision, but it's really about the why behind the vision.
Love it.
How that experience people have at our company creates those smiles, right? Which makes the world a better place.
So thank you for that. So it is one way to share the emotional is the why. So I appreciate that. And sometimes visionaries, one of my 6 habits of being a great effing visionary is to know, love, and share and spread our why, what, and how. And so that is a key that I've learned, that if I don't have a great why, what, and how, and if that's not inspiring to future employees, current employees, to clients, then I'm missing that emotional side. So thank you for that clarification.
Sure.
Yeah, appreciate that. And then what's one thing that you've learned over the years as a visionary, either personally or professionally, that's been a great shift for you? You tried something new, you implemented something, you let something go that was a big change in your life as a visionary. So what's one lesson learned you could share with other visionaries?
The lesson learned, I would say, the biggest thing for me has been coaching.
Yep. Love it.
Allowing somebody in to help. I was afraid of it. I didn't know I was afraid of it, but I also didn't know it was a resource.
Right.
And I think I built up a wall. And so letting somebody in to allow you to be vulnerable, learn how to be yourself again. Because over time, I feel like the business beats you up enough. The business, you face challenges, you face difficulties, and you want to go, go, go. Having a coach or a group of people, the forum that you've created,
Right.
or places like that, to go and be in a group of people, like to me, learn and be coachable is like the
Right.
most important thing that I wish I knew 20 years ago.
So why do you think people, either yourself, me, other people, don't go for that? I mean, is it we need to be the hero? I know for me, I'm like, I should know this. But why aren't people more open to being coached and being having a mirror face toward us?
I can't speak for everybody, but I think as people, we're supposed to be, and as leaders, we're supposed to be, hard
Right.
and light and in control, and we know everything. And it's a societal thing, perhaps. It might be how we were raised. It might be the type of employment we've had prior to our current roles. But something that says, hey, you're supposed to have armor and you're not supposed to break.
Right.
And so I think there's a challenge there.
Right.
And once you get into a community with people, and when you like-minded people, or you have a coach of somebody who can say, hey, it's okay.
Right.
It's totally fine to feel that way. And we feel that way too. You
Right.
mentioned the word chatter, and I got your book up there. There's a lot of chatter that happens, and
Right.
it happens for all of us. And if we don't deal with it, it just gets worse and worse and worse. And so I think for me that seems to be what I've experienced personally, and maybe what happens to a lot of people.
Yeah. No, I agree. That's
There's
awesome.
There's a
Go ahead.
second piece too, which
Yeah,
is
please.
when you are in business, or even in our family, when you're busy, like sports, or in the business, serving a client, serving an employee, making sure the bills are getting paid, etc. You don't have time to elevate and think.
Right.
And so I think there's that. I need to make the business work, and I'm not thinking about these other things. And so
Right.
I believe that like those things kind of combined. Coaching helps, community helps, because you can learn.
Right. No, I love that. It's to make time, and it's counterintuitive. I know it has been for me to say, well, I was like, well, as soon as I have time and I have money, then I'm going to go do the things that help me to elevate and then to be more present and a greater leader. But that's counterintuitive because I think it's the opposite. As I
Yeah.
am being these things, right?
It's a good point.
That's
And,
awesome.
it probably ties a little to the word ego, one way or shape or form.
That little monkey mind, right? That's the chatterbox.
That's
Yeah,
the
I
truth.
love Michael Singer, Untethered Soul. What I heard him say is, why do we rely on our ego to give us advice when it takes both sides, and it neither side ever stops, and yet we listen to it. Well, I think I should wait. I should never. I should always. It's so cute.
Especially visionaries, right? Because I think
Oh,
we're chasing both of those squirrels at the same time.
yeah,
And
definitely.
hence the reason you need or should look into coaching or community of some sort, because it
Yeah.
helps. It helps do that.
And to realize, and again, I think what the EOSs of the world and those processes are so necessary as we hit a ceiling of complexity. But to me, it's the magic, and
Mm-hmm.
that's the magic that we don't always have to bring, but we help to inspire. And that is so beautiful. But again, that's counterintuitive. A lot of people come to me and they're like, "All right, Coach Bob, I've got my business on a process. Now what do I do?" And it's like, "Well, no, it's who do you be? Who are you?" And it's like, "Well, what does that have to do with anything?" And that's to me that's that next level. That's that breakthrough. It's
Mm-hmm.
not just the linear, it's the 5D kind of stuff to say, well, what if we tried this? And then, as we talked earlier, the wonder side of it, which
Yeah, for
is
sure.
awesome.
Because possibilities can be endless when you wonder,
Right.
and that fuels vision.
Cool. And so tell me briefly about your business. Who are you? What do you do?
Sure. The business itself, like what we do specifically for clients, is we're facility maintenance and commercial construction. Who we are and why we exist is really to change a little bit the paradigm of that industry, to build cultures in those industries where we're serving not only our customers but also our employees.
Right.
So we have a better work experience, kind of what I mentioned earlier. And the thing I've started really thinking about and introduced this year is how do we decommoditize pretty much a commoditized industry, right?
Right.
We're sold on labor costs, we're sold on quotes for jobs, and rather, how do we really build a place where customers want to come to us, they become fans of us, and obviously reciprocally we become fans of them, and we
Right.
create those experiences. So we're really kind of on a journey starting to scratch that surface of how do we change the industry a little bit so we really aren't bought on price anymore.
Right.
And that in turn can circle back around to where then we can make more money, we can take care of our employees better, we
Right.
can give them more opportunities, we can invest a lot more in training, a lot more in coaching, a lot more in personal growth, which then makes the world a better place. And
Right.
at the end of the day, it'll make more people smile. So
I love it. Nice turnaround there. I appreciate that.
yeah,
And that to me is our job, not our job, our opportunity as a visionary is to create community.
uh,
And you're creating a community in your business and in your family and with your vendors in your industry with other visionaries, so and that to me, that's what community is. The next marketing, community is the next opportunity for us to break through the ceiling of complexity I think we've run into as a society.
yeah, I love that. I love that. Thank you. Yeah.
Right. So, what's one thing that you're working on now, or contemplating, or sitting with, either an opportunity or an issue you have in your life as a visionary? So it's like, boy, if I could break through here, or so what's one thing that's kind of keeping you up at night that you're pondering?
Wow, that's a great question. I think the balance of time
Huh.
versus yes. And
Yep.
for me, that means how much more personally, how much more business, how much more things, which then takes away from time.
Right.
And so I'm trying to learn. Um, I like the Untethered Soul. I've read some other books about minimizing stuff, getting rid of stuff, doing less better. So I think one of those things it's really time, and I want to
Right.
become more present at home. And so how do I balance those two things?
Yeah, I appreciate that. Years ago, when the recession hit in '08 and '09, and I had a business that was crashing, and I was spending more and more time there, and my kids were younger, and she was like, "So when are you going to be home?" And I'm like, "Well, as soon as." And I was just going, and I'm like, "Well, I love you and the kids." She's like, "I know you do, but you vote with your feet, and if you're there more than here, and even when you're here, you're not here." And it was like, whoa, that was a big thing for me. And she's like, why, okay, business is struggling. Why not spend more time here, especially as the kids were younger? And
Mm,
so that was a big shift for me to say, what mattered most was mainly being there for my wife, being there for my kids. And now they're 23 and 19. And so we're still there for them, but it's not on a minute by minute basis. But that was a huge thing for me is, like to realize what matters most and who matters most. So I
mhm,
appreciate your desire to do and be that more. And again, as you and I have talked, we entrepreneurs have a lot of opportunities. How do we include our spouses and to grow that relationship? I know that's probably when people talk about what's one of your hobbies. When I went through iMatter when I created it years ago, I shared it with a friend of mine. He's like, you left out one of the biggest things that makes a lot, that means so much to you. And I'm like, what's that? I said, well, it was between Cheryl and I, our commitment to and love for spiritual growth and spiritual connection. And
yeah.
that was like, wow. And so we spend so much time on that. And that is where we're learning together, it's
Yeah.
and being mirrors for each other and coaching each other, which isn't always easy from spouse to spouse, but
Sure, sure. I think we certainly can overlook that part
right,
because, like you said, you vote with your feet, and that like it's so simple and
right,
profound because it's really easy to justify if I make one more call or if I
right,
process this invoice, if I do these things, it's
right.
going to help us. And so, but it maybe doesn't. Maybe
Yep,
it doesn't. And so I have a lot of work and a lot of learning to do there. I've
yep,
been fortunate in the last 5 years to, with EOS, with a beautiful group of people at work, to take more time with the family.
right.
But I got to learn how to integrate into that because I haven't been around. And so that ties into the time thing for me
Yep.
is that balance. But then I hear something at work or EO or Visionary Forum. I want to be there. And so, yeah,
Right. No, I appreciate
definitely. Yeah, I
that.
appreciate you sharing that because hearing more people talk about that thing talk about the connection at home is so important. I
Right.
think is one of those things that we can miss so easily building the business, and it shouldn't be for nothing. Like
Right.
that's our most precious group of people, and they get dumped on because of what we do, and
Yeah.
we can change that. So I'm inspired by what you said. Thank you.
Well, thanks. Well, then I'll drop the mic there. No, I'm just kidding. Uh, so before I ask my last question, is there anything else any other questions you have for me or anything else that you want to share? Otherwise, I have one final question. But yeah, so anything else for the visionary world, for me,
I think maybe I didn't have a question prepared, but the
no, that's
one
fine.
thing I think of, Bob, is how do you, I want to say, how do you do it all? How do you maintain this positive feeling all the time? You're always there. It
Hmm.
seems that you're always there. Like, what inspires you and what keeps you motivated to do what you do? I think it would be great for us to hear that because you're one of those people that lifts me up. And
Well,
so,
thank you. I appreciate that. Makes me feel great. I've learned. I mean, years ago, as I hit kind of like 30 years ago, I walked in the house of my dreams, and my business was really had turned the corner, and I had season tickets for this and that, and I just felt so sad because I didn't really have a purpose, and so that's when I started on my journey and literally got out of all my relationships and sold my business and met my wife Cheryl, and we went on the spiritual path. And I just it kept hearing and coming through me that I'm here to elevate the entrepreneurial spirit with people. And so it's like, and to share what is it like to have vision. And my family was very, we were called the happy family by a few ex-spouses. And they're like, you guys are kind of fake. And it's like, and I've talked a lot about this with my parents. My dad passed away a while ago, and my sister and brother, and they were just so optimistic. So I was fortunate to have that. And
mm,
again, just knowing my why, my why is to create, experience, and spread peace, joy, and freedom. And so, and at the end of the day, it's having a relationship with something greater than myself. I call that God. It can be whatever for people. And again, I'm not here to tell people what that is, but there is something that somehow connects us. And when I'm quiet and like you were talking about, make time for myself, the joy and the freedom and the peace that comes through me, and it's just the simple stuff. So I think part of it was upbringing, part of it was my wife, and she again has led me on the spiritual journey. We've been going on it together. Her here, me here, we're together. But at the end of the day, I'm excited to have a legacy where people are like, dude, you made a huge difference. And I have imposter syndrome, like Dr. Doug talks about in Driven,
yeah,
but I'm starting to learn that how I've been there for my kids. My business isn't as much as I want, and how come I don't have more money, and how come Tony has a nicer house, and how come it's like all that comparison, and
oh,
that just doesn't matter.
yeah,
So it's a commitment, and I beat myself up for not being more successful. And at the end of the day, I love my wife, and she's there. My kids, I just spent the last 2 weekends with my son watching him play baseball on the East Coast, and
nice.
it's awesome. And my daughter got married, and she's helping kids know that God loves them, and it's like this is the most amazing life ever. And so now to be in that space and appreciate it, that's what I'm still learning, is to appreciate the value I have, even if it's not monetary, or in that material world. And it is about those relationships and the emotions, and so to give a hug from you and have you say thank you so much, and then you're a mirror for me. So I don't know if I'm answering your question, but I really think early on, not I think early on, early on, 20 years ago, so it's probably 30 or 40.
Yeah, yeah.
That I still feel like I'm young. I am young.
You're
I'm only
young. You're
half
young.
done, by the way. But to start to really know that I'm here for something more. Like when I walked in that house, I'm like, what am I going to be remembered for? And I guess one other thing would be my ex-family's, my brother-in-law passed away when he was 21. And I mean, just out of the blue, and he had his whole life ahead of him. And at the funeral, and I didn't think he was that popular, but hundreds of people showed up. And I was like, wow. And they were just like, because he was a great basketball player and just he played, he was a kid. And even some people are like, is he ever going to grow up? I'm like, well, I think that was probably a fear. And so I really contemplated and say, okay, so when people come to my funeral, what are they going to say? And I started to live that. So, like we talk about an unscattered chatter, it's to live my legacy today, which is what a family man, man, this has been a new thing for me, is a man of faith, which it's like, oh, that was scary for me to say before. So it's not, I'm trying to evangelize a religion. A man of faith is, I believe in love. I believe in God. I believe in relationships. I believe in vulnerability. I believe we're actually going to pull this off where we have a shot to leave this place even greater for our kids and our grandkids. And that's not just by getting drunk and having fun. I like that too, but it's definitely been driven to make a difference in the world. So long-winded, there's an answer for you.
I love it. And the world needs to hear that.
Well, thank you for that. All right. So my last question is, our theme, our rally cry is Viva La Visionary, and the name of this podcast. What does Viva La Visionary mean to you, Tony?
Wow. Viva La Vision. It means to me freedom. It means a collection of people that have freedom to be who they are. And I guess I partially say that because I'm in the forum, and that becomes a lot of the theme is we're all these people that have these imposter syndromes or these ideas or things like that, and so celebrate us, and so that celebration is a freedom to be who you want to be.
Right.
Get rid of that mental stuff that's holding you back. So, like, yay for us, we make a difference, although we may not seem to make a difference. Yay for us, and so that's what it means to me. It gives me inspiration that somebody would say, "Hey, that's an important thing."
Right. I love that. Thank you. Yay for us. I think there's a T-shirt in there somewhere.
Right.
And what's interesting is I found for myself and others, I used to almost feel guilty to celebrate who I was. So again, and the cool thing is most of us, the visionaries that I've met, really want to make a difference and make people smile and help them elevate themselves and to have vision. And so to me, and I shared this with my team early on, I'm like, as they allowed me to elevate, I helped them come along with me. And it wasn't just to get more done and make me more money. It's like, who are you? What do you want out of life? And help them with that. So, so it's not just a selfish thing for me anyways, and I know it wasn't for you, but it is yay for us, and we get to help a lot of others.
We do. And if we can just make their day a little better or their life a little better, they can pass that on to their friends, their neighbors, their communities. And there's that rippling effect. Like you said, we can make a dent in the world to make it a little bit better for our kids than it was for us. And it all adds up, man. It all adds up. And I love the spirit, and I love the ideas and good stuff. So
cool. All right. Well, thank you for sharing. You've made me smile, as you always do, Tony. So job well done. And appreciate your wisdom and your time, and we will connect with you soon.
Likewise, Bob. Thank you very much. I appreciate you having me on today. And
absolutely. All right. Peace.
Peace out.
Yay.
All right.
That was fun.
Thank you for tuning in to Viva La Visionary. We hope you enjoyed today's episode and found inspiration in our guest stories. If you loved what you heard, please subscribe, rate, and share the podcast with fellow dreamers and doers. Join us next time as we continue to explore the limitless possibilities of visionary thinking. Until then, keep dreaming big and taking action. Your vision matters.